Are you a leader, manager, entrepreneur, business owner, or knowledge worker? Are you leading people or wondering how to be a better leader in your own life and work? If you are, then you can be experimenting better. Welcome to The Experimental Leader, a podcast that takes a look at the ways leaders are experimenting in their own work. Hosted by Melanie Parrish, we dive into real-life conversations about how people might be using a scientist's mindset and experimenting in their work. Shift your leadership into something that works better. Join us on The Experimental Leader today.
Hi, I'm Melanie Parrish, and I'm the host of the Experimental Leader podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And I've been thinking a lot about authenticity and also what parts of myself I might bring to my work, my brand, my company, what parts are appropriate, what parts aren't appropriate, and how I become a more interesting human being if I bring all the parts of myself to my life, my work, my brand. I'm really playing with the idea of how I can live my values, my company values, my personal values, and it's not easy. It's not simple. It's not clear. So I just wanted to share that with you. I worry that I'll be inappropriate in some way. And I'm also worried that I'll be too safe, that I'll be boring, that I'll not share the edges of me that are some of the most interesting parts of me. And I wonder if you feel those same questions. Do you worry that you play it too safe or that you take too much risk? I think these are interesting things that we all grapple with when we think about our personal and our professional brands. Who are we and what parts of ourselves can we share with the world? I challenge you to really think about who you are, what's the best parts of you, and what parts can you freely share so that you can be as authentic as you possibly can be. Today, I am so excited to have our speaker, Paul Terwal. He is a speaker, writer, consultant, and engagement explorer. Paul is based in the Netherlands and speaks 3 languages, and he's been the president of 3 speakers associations. For more than 25 years, he's been in the speaking, consulting, and training business for executives, human beings, directors, and employees. Welcome to my show, Paul.
Well, Melanie, thank you for having me on your show. I love to be here.
Well, it's great to be here. And we've been doing this book club thing about my book, The Experimental Leader, Be a New Kind of Boss to Cultivate an Organization of Innovators. And I think that you looked at chapter 6.
I did.
Any thoughts that you want to share, just sort of cold out of the gate, and then I can read a little bit.
Well, what I really love about this chapter is that leaders need to focus on where the process of the work done in their team or their organization has a bottleneck. Where is it stopping them from being really successful? And that's what I love, because I look at that from engagement point of view as well. So we're on the same ends.
Yeah, I think it's so easy. You know, leaders today, they have so much on their plates. They are busy, they're running, they have a to-do list that never ends. And it's so easy to be busy. And it's so hard to get anything done or to make any real change. So I do think that focusing on the one thing that's going to make everything change can be really, really useful.
Absolutely.
And that's usually the bottleneck. I'll read just a little bit. As you know, I draw a lot of inspiration for my work with today's knowledge economy leaders from traditional manufacturing optimization processes. But while Mike Rother's writing about Japanese kata techniques and Goldratt's theory of constraints have been critical for the development of my own business and coaching practice, these systems, with their diagrams and acronyms and hardcore adherence, can draw a leader's time management quickly into the weeds. As an experimental leader, apply the tools such as intense, kata processes, and experimenting with bottlenecks with a light hand so they don't become overwhelming. Let them be easy to use tools for tackling your leadership challenges. Take the best from these systems and use them to grow your leadership skills and improve your value to the organization.
Yeah.
In my work with business leaders, we focus on identifying bottlenecks simply by paying attention and then using the improvement tools to track and assess the experiments we do to mitigate those bottlenecks. The tools themselves aren't the goal we're focused on. They just represent the next step in the experiment process. And I'm curious, I think your work is around speakers, and where do you see bottlenecks come up on a day-to-day basis? Like what speakers are there? You know, what are some of the bottlenecks a speaker might experience?
Oh, I must say, I think 80% of my work is working with large organizations. And as president, of course, I work with a lot of speakers. What I see in the speaker market is that they focus tremendously on the amount of money they can earn doing a gig. And I think, like leaders, they should focus on quality. If you are a great speaker, if you know your content, if you write books, if you publish about what you want to say, people will find you. So you need to focus on your quality, on who you are. So I love the work of an American speaker friend, Sam Silverstein. Focus on your non-negotiables. If you know who you are, what you stand for, what is non-negotiable for you, you will find that strength to go and to perform at your best. And I think that should apply to all leaders in the world. Know your core values, live them, show them. And I love the Gemba walk. Walk and talk with your employees about what your non-negotiables are, what theirs are, and then find that alignment. Because if you talk about those things, you will find that bottleneck that is holding one person back in not delivering the way you want it to be. And you can tell them by, hey, you're not productive. Or you can ask the question, hey, what do you need to perform in a better way? So I love the idea of finding that bottleneck in your process, in your team.
I think that's so powerful. And for those who don't know what a Gemba walk is when it's from manufacturing, when the boss was up above the factory looking down. And a Gemba walk is when they come down to the factory floor and they actually walk the factory floor to see what's happening with their employees. And it's one thing to talk about what's happening, what are you doing at work? And it's never the same as looking at the work. So I always encourage people to have people share their screen on Zoom. Zoom makes this really easy. Or go sit behind them and watch what they're doing, even in accounting or wherever it is. Watch and see, because the thing someone describes will not be the same thing you will see if you go and look and dive into seeing the problem as they see it. It's incredibly powerful as a leader to go to where the work is being done and watch. Don't intervene, don't fix it, don't participate, don't help. Watch and see what you learn. You will learn something completely unexpected almost every time. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's completely true. And you say, don't take it over and don't try to control what they're doing. Don't check them on their work. Ask a question. If you see something is not right, then say, hey, what am I looking at? Is it really what you wanted to have? If people feel that they are pressed by control, it's not going to work. Engagement will go down immediately. In the Netherlands, they will call in sick the next day and stay away for a couple of weeks because we pay the salary anyway. So, but it works if you ask questions. And I did this long time ago with people who couldn't work in the same workplace anymore. Just walk with them across a riverside on a boulevard, have a cup of coffee, have that open view conversation, because I don't see you in the eyes. I walk next to you. So the employee has an open view, and with that, they have an open mind, and they will tell you anything.
Mhm.
But if I sit opposite of them, I check their eyes, and people don't like it.
No, I think the sitting beside or walking beside is lovely.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Let's change gears, and thank you for indulging, me and reading some of my book and looking at it. And I'd love to know how you're experimenting in your life and your work right now.
Oh, I made a big change a couple of weeks ago. I own my own consulting firm for a long time, more than 25 years. I'm getting a little bit older, and I want to transfer my knowledge and the way I like to work to other younger people, younger consultants. So I sold my company to another consulting firm. That's quite challenging and exciting, I can promise you, because for a long time I was the boss. And now you work with other people with other experiencing, and we're experimenting at this point. How can we work together? How can we share those egos that, of course, the others have, I have, and seek alignment to work together? So I'm really on an experimental journey at this moment, and it's fun.
What are some of the things you think about? I think this is fascinating. You're a consultant, you help people with processes, I'm guessing. What are some of the things that you're thinking about that you need to talk about or work out? What's the wisdom that you bring to this process for yourself?
For me, the most important part is I work from positive psychology, because for a long time we're always looking at the things that goes wrong, because that's quite easy. You can tell people you're doing the wrong stuff, you need to improve. What you see from positive psychology, which is around for 50 years, but not really trained, is look how we can support people to get more energy, to be more productive, to make less mistake, and to stay at the company. So we're challenging organization, and that's one of your bottlenecks. How can we improve the way people work by supporting them to get energy from their work instead of work pressure, burnout, complaints, all that kind of stuff, which is negative. And we try to help leaders and companies to get to that next level that you say, hey, what do you need to act in a better way? So we're experimenting what questions and what support employees need to make the company, the team more profitable than ever. So for me, it's always about human beings and profit. Without profit, there isn't a company, they can't survive. But without human beings, we can't work as well. So we need to find the balance between those two. And that's very challenging, and that makes every customer unique.
Now, you also have a lot of experience as a speaker in speakers bureaus, those kinds of things. And I know a lot of people, myself included, think it might be interesting to be more, to do more speaking engagements. How should people think about that, and how would they get started?
Well, the first thing I would advise is join a speakers association in your country, because all the knowledge over the last 50, 60 years of public speaking are in speakers associations. And last Thursday, we had International Speaker Day, and it was about supporting the whole family internationally, about 10,000 people that are public speakers all over the world. And we need to acknowledge them and support them. And what you see is we are with 5,000 members, and we had more than 1 million hits on LinkedIn, only on LinkedIn, by telling that we are professional speakers and that we support companies, public organizations, people with our stories. This is the new art of storytelling. We forgot about it for so long that if you want to develop human beings, if you want to develop organizations, you need to tell positive stories. And that's what speakers are doing. Our role is to sit at the campfire and tell a story. And everybody has his own niche or niche, depends on where you live. But you can be an expert on your topic and sit around the fireplace and just relax and tell your story. So for me, as quite experienced, I was asked last week, are there rules for public speakers? And I said, there are no rules, but the one, stay close to your core values. So if you have a story to tell, of course you can be trained to be on stage, how to use AV and that kind of stuff. What I notice is if I come into a big conference room, the first thing I do is go to the AV people, because they can make me look good or bad on stage. So I'm always polite, give them something, ask them, what do you need from me? I will be on in 4 hours. They will know my name. I will go in the break again to them. Just be nice to human beings. That's all it takes, because when you are on stage, the other ones, the other human beings are watching you. And if you are comfortable in a story like you are with your book, then you can tell your story. It's not that you need to be on the left side on the stage or the right side or making a point in the middle or stepping. Some people teach you that. I don't. I love it the way you are. You are a human being. You have your story. You're on stage. Please tell your story. And that's what public speaking is about.
I noticed that you use this term human being. It's in your bio. You've used it multiple times. What does that mean to you, to use the phrase human being?
Well, what I saw is that we still love to talk about human resources. Taylor invented it with McKinsey 100 years ago. You could replace human resources, like you can change your computer, your phone, whatever. And for a long time, that was the case. What we see, that words matter to human beings. So I don't like it in the current era with demographic issues that we still have a department called human resources. And then they are called human resource business partners. They forget that they work for human beings, normal people. And we need those people nowadays 10 times more than we needed 40, 50 years ago. When I started working, out of 10 lawyers, I started as a lawyer, out of 10 lawyers, 3 had a job. Now they have 10 places and there are only 3 lawyers left to fill those places. So we need to see them as human beings with their own core values, with their own purpose, with their own wishes for life, with their own private life. And as employers, we need to look, how can we convince them to work for us and stay with us? You have in the US now the Great Resignation. A lot of people are leaving because during Corona time, COVID, they started thinking about their purpose. Am I doing what I'm doing? And suddenly we saw human resources changing into human beings. And that's the difference. And if you see, like in your book, that there are bottlenecks that you need to work on, the first question is it in the technique? Is it in facilitation? Or is it in human beings, in the team, in the group of people? Because that's a different approach for me.
I'm super curious about, if you're selling your company, will you have more free time? And if so, what will you do with it?
First of all, I love writing books like you do. So I published a book just 4 weeks ago, but it's in Dutch. And it's about the broader sense of profitability, not only shareholder value, but stakeholder value. But you get it when you hear my story. And what I wanted, that I didn't want to be busy with selling my product and my company. So I was looking for an organization that understands what I'm doing and then have the time and the salespeople that can sell my story. And then I come in, take over, and do what I need to do. If I have more time, well, I'm 64. By now, I like it to work 4 days a week. To be honest, I'm more productive when I work 4 days a week and rest 3 days. And there is Cambridge research that proves that this is true. I like to travel. I've been the world president of the professional speakers, and that was in 2019, 2020. I traveled all over the world. And in my bio, it says engagement explorer. I don't want to be an expert because then I tell others what to do. I want to explore and find out why engagement is different in the US than in the Netherlands, than in Namibia, South Africa, Australia. And what I noticed, there isn't that much difference. The culture is different, but that's the outside. The inside is a human being with core values, with a purpose, with wishes. And that's so amazing to see. And I want to do it more. I want to have more time to travel around.
That's exciting stuff. Where can people find you, Paul?
On LinkedIn is always the easiest because I have a LinkedIn profile and that's Paul Terwal. You can connect it. And I have all my contact information in it, but also all my videos. And on YouTube, I have about 36 different videos in English, in Dutch, in German. And people can use it. I'm from the era that I love to give and receive instead of give and take. A lot of people give and then are eager to take from you. I think that we should learn to give to others and then hope that they will be friendly enough to give to us as well, and then we can receive.
That's so really beautiful.
That's my motto for life.
Well, thank you so much for being on my show. It's been a pleasure to have you here.
I love being on your show and hope to see you soon.
Take care.
Thank you.
If you'd like to learn more about how focusing on bottlenecks can transform your own leadership, check out my book, The Experimental Leader. You can get a copy at book.experimentalleader.com. I think you can magically transform your leadership by spending more time focusing on your bottlenecks and less time focusing on your challenges.
It's been so fun to be with Paul today, talking about human beings. And I love the idea of give and receive as opposed to give and take, a feeling of generosity and acceptance of what comes our way. I love the power of language that he used in those word choices that he was making. I really challenge you to think about your language choices and how they impact what you do. Go experiment.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of The Experimental Leader. We hope you have found value in today's episode because we're dedicated to helping you become the experimental leader you want to be. To access the show notes or learn more about working with Melanie, visit melanieparish.com. Go experiment.